start the recording. And we have to go over some of the lines again, and I need to also stream because we also stream this event live to our Facebook page so that those who are unable to join us now can always join us later on. They can watch the proceedings, they can relive the moment, they can relive the experience, or even those who are here, I mean, presently now, want to, if there's something you missed out, there's something you want to catch up on, you can always go to our Facebook page and then get to know digest the meat of the session. So please just give me some seconds to try and sort out the technology um, while before we now start formally. Okay, I think that is sorted. Thank you once again, everybody. Welcoming you once again to the very first edition of our monthly book reading, where we'll be reading from Vothuno. Vothuno is more or less like a historical fiction, and we'll hear more about it from the author, very distinguished person who is here with us this afternoon, this evening, this morning, depending on wherever you're joining us from, to read from this masterpiece of literary work. So I'm welcoming you once again to the LRF monthly book reading for January 2024. This is a monthly reading we do where we invite authors of Nigerian extraction to come and read to us from their literary works, be it poetry, be it prose. I'm not sure we've had any drama yet, but we're working towards that sometime this year. So where they come to read to us from their works and we get to appreciate the work they've done. I mean, we question them, we probe them, we want to know what were the things they were thinking about that motivated the work they penned down or the manuscript they prepared. You know, because in Africa, essentially, we believe that art does not exist in vacuum. There's always something that propelled the writer to write, propelled the artist to paint, the singer to sing songs. So there's always a motivation, there's always an inspiration in Africa. And then we want to probe the mind to know what were you thinking about when you were writing this book. I want to know what were the reactions, I mean, maybe initial reaction when the book was published, and many other questions we want to know, even maybe question some of the fluidity of the expression, some of the plot, some of the plot structure, and because we have also literary gurus in our midst who join us from month to month. So they get to engage the author on a very intellectual level. And that is one of the beauty of having this kind of gathering. So my name is Babatunde Oladele. I'm the executive director for the Literary Renaissance Foundation. Is a non-profit that is very strongly aligned to the United Nations Society, I mean, the SDG, the Sustainable Development Goal Agenda 4, which is to ensure that every individual all over the world, everybody has that fundamental right to access to education. And then they are also availed platforms for continuous learning. So that is what we are about. We campaign for mass literacy in our country, in every other country where we have our campaigners, where we have our proponents. We campaign for mass literacy, equity of education, equity to quality education for every individual. We also promote reading culture. Reading culture, we go to schools to go and talk to school children about the importance of reading, about the importance of cultivating a healthy and sustainable reading culture. And that is what we do at LRF. We have outreaches where we go to schools. We also have this monthly book reading where we invite others to come and read to us. And then we also have what we call a reading culture dialogue, which invites stakeholders across the Nigerian education system to come and talk to us about certain things that are maybe that are of concern in the Nigerian education sector. And we are having one of the one of such events, the very first for this year, which was supposed to be last year, really. We are having it in 2 weeks' time, where we'll be discussing this very pernicious issue, ASU strike, and how ASU strike has affected us, and what does it portend to the prospects of tertiary education in Nigeria. So I'm Babatunde Oladele, and as our culture is, we introduce ourselves, we want to know your name, what you do, and then where you are joining us from at this time. So I'll be doing the roll call. I've done for myself. I'm the executive director for LRF. Presently joining in from the United Kingdom. In some weeks' time, I'll be joining in from the United States, and that is where that's where I am presently, and I'm glad to be here. The next person I will call, I will skip the author, who will be the last person that will be introduced to us. I will be calling Oluwaseun Olaniyi, followed by Chioma Eneje, then Olamide, in that order. Please tell us your name, where you are joining us from, and what you do. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Babatunde. Thank you for all you do. You know, you're always raising the bar all the time. My name is Oluwaseun Olaniyi. I'm in Maryland, United States, and I'm on the board of directors of the LRF. I function as the director of strategy and IT. But what brought me here is not the being a board member, but the law for creativity and arts. And today I should assume I will be the first person to read a play, right? Because mine is a play.
Okay, oh, wonderful. So, I mean, yeah, we're booking the doc. Yeah, you'll be the first playwright.
All right.
Oh,
so
nice.
I'm glad to be here, and there wouldn't be another place I want to be right now. Thank you very much, everyone, for your time.
Thank you very much, Sean, for he's joining us pretty early, because it's still like early morning over there in the US.
Yeah, it's fine.
But you can see his voice is still very.
Yeah, I just woke up. I slept late.
Okay, yeah, okay. That's understandable. Thank you very much for joining us from Maryland, Sean. Chioma, let's meet you, please. If you can show us your video, we'll appreciate it. If not, we'll just pass. Just let's know who you are, what you do, and where you're joining us from.
Good evening, everyone.
Evening.
My name is Chioma Eneje. I am a lawyer. I'm currently in Badagry. I'm doing my service here at the Ministry of Justice.
Thank you very much, Chioma. Lawyer joining us from Maiduguri, Borno State. Olamide, let's get to meet you. Then we call Mary, and then Olashupo, Olabisi.
Good evening, everyone. Good evening,
Good evening.
sir. My name is Olamide. I'm joining from Ibadan, and I'm a researcher.
Thank you very much. Researcher Olamide joining us from Ibadan. Mary, let's get to meet you, please.
Okay, like everyone knows, my name is Mary. I'm the foundations administrator, and I'm calling in from Lagos.
Thank you, Mary, administrator, joining us from Lagos. Next person, please.
Good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
I'm Olashupo Olabisi, popularly known as Ajia on this platform, a teacher and a poet, also a volunteer for the LRF Foundation, heading the Ibadan Schools Outreach, joining from Ibadan.
Thank you very much, teacher Olashupo Olabisi Ajia, joining us from Ibadan. She's the head of our outreach committee in Ibadan, and she's been doing a fantastic work over there in terms of helping us to engage the schools and engage the children in pursuance of our corporate goals. The next person I'll be calling is Adogon Kebelo, followed by Amos Akonde, and then Adeleke Eliezer.
Yes. Hello.
Hi. Sorry, I think your audio is a bit.
Hold on. Yes, ma'am.
Okay, we can hear from Amos while we allow Adegon Kebelo to sort our audio. Amos, over to you, please.
Okay, thank you, sir. Good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
I'm Amos Akande, public servant, joining from Abuja, FTT.
Thank you,
sir.
very much. Amos, public servant, joining us from the federal capital, Abuja.
Okay.
Okay, Adeoke, can you talk now, please? We are willing to.
Yes.
To you.
Good evening, everybody.
Good evening.
I'm Aderonke Bello. I'm calling from Lagos. I'm a public servant. I'm Director Admin and Human Resource, working in Lagos State Government.
Wow. Okay. Thank you very much, Madam Adeoke Bello, public servant, Director at the Lagos State Government. I'm sure that is a colleague of our author, one of the colleagues of the author joining us today. Thank you very much for joining us today for this reading. The next person we'll be calling is Adeleke Eliezer, followed by Christopher Salihu.
Good evening.
Yes.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Good evening, everybody. My name is Adeleke Eliezer from the University College of Street Department here. I'm one of the volunteers for this foundation.
Thank you very much, Adeleke Eliezer Oluwatimileyin, for joining us from Ibadan, one of our volunteers in Ibadan, and who also have been a very committed one at that, joining us from UCH, Ibadan. Christopher, can we hear from you, please, followed by Linus, Barry, Tagang, and then Bobby, in that order.
Good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
My name is Christopher Salihu Jacob, and I am a special education need teacher, an aspiring writer and poet, and I am joining from Abuja.
Thank you very much, Christopher, special education expert joining us from Abuja. Linus, let's meet you, please.
Good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
Tagan Linus Barry. I'm an editor with University of Jos Printing Press. I'm joining in from Jos Plateau State.
Thank you so much. I think we have so many from Jos. I mean, from the north today. It used to be Badon that we have majority of our participants. Now we have somebody from Maiduguri, Jos, Abuja. Thank you so much, guys, our northern folks, for joining us today. Linus, editor at University of Jos Press, joining us today from Jos. Bobby, can we meet you, please? Thank you for showing us your very handsome face.
All right. Good evening, everyone, and a happy New Year to us all.
Yeah, happy New Year.
Yes, my name is Bobai, popularly known as Bobby. I'm a lecturer with the Kaduna State College of Education, Gidamaya Kafanchan.
Wow.
I'm currently in the cool city of Jos.
Wow.
Plateau State.
Wow.
I'm from Jos Plateau State.
I guess you are with Linus. I mean, since you guys are having a hookup this weekend or something. Thank you, Bobai, for joining us from Jos, based and resident in Kafanchan, Kaduna State. Thanks for joining us. The next person we'll be calling is Grace Flora, then followed by Aisha Alarape, before we now listen to the profile of our author for today. Grace Flora, over to you. Then we hear from Aisha Alarape.
Okay. Good evening, everyone. Happy New Year.
Good evening.
I'm Grace Flora Wobete. I'm calling in from Lagos. I'm an educator and administrator also in the school, working in the school, and I'm one of the volunteers with LRF.
Thank you very much, Grace Flora, educator of many years standing, joining us from Lagos. And we are happy to have you. Flora heads the outreach committee from the Lagos end of things, and we are very glad to have you here in our midst today. Okay.
Thank you.
I'm sure there will be others that will join us at some point, but for now, we'll be hearing from Aisha Alarape. Please, let's get to meet you, please. And then we'll now listen to the profile of our author today, and then he can also fill in certain information that may not have been captured in the profile before we now hear the reading proper.
Okay, good evening, everyone. My name is Aisha Laraku. I am an administrative secretary in the education industry. This is my second time joining your program. I got to know about this foundation through Mr. Linus Barry. Thanks for having me, Mr. Babatunde.
Thank you so much, Aisha Laraku, for joining us for the second time. As Executive Secretary, you didn't tell us where you're joining from. Are you from Jos too, just like Linus?
Oh, yes, sorry. I'm currently in Lagos.
Oh, great. Thank God we
Yeah.
have another Lagosian in our midst tonight. Thank you so much for joining us, Aisha from Lagos, and hooking up with us. And we hope to see more of you in our subsequent programs. Now we will listen to a short profile or bio of the author for the day. I'm sure, no matter what they are going to read to us, it cannot really capture his experiences, his wealth of exposures, but let's get to meet him through the mouth and through little that we've been able to pen down in the mouth of Olamide Omolawa from Ibadan. Olamide, over to you, please. Let's meet the author for the day.
Good evening once again, everybody.
Good evening.
Yes, I'll be taking the biography of our author, and I would like to apologize in advance for any mispronunciation. Thank you. So Dr. Mesewaku was born in Badagry in the early 1960s. The Mesewaku family of Adariko compound, Haoviko quarters, Badagry. Dr. Mesewaku attended Our Lady of Apostle Primary School and Secondary Modern School, all in Badagry, before proceeding to Egbado High School, Igbogila, now Yewa High School, Ogun State, for his secondary education. He enrolled for a higher school certificate at Anwar ul Islam College, Agege, Lagos, in 1983 and graduated in 1985. He gained admission to the prestigious University of Ibadan in 1987 to pursue a combined BA Honours degree in English and Theatre Arts, and he graduated in 1989. He later joined the Lagos State Public Service as Public Relations and Information Officer in 1991 before converting to administrative cadre as Admin Officer 1 in 1995. Dr. Mesewaku rose to the top echelon of the local government service in 2003, where he was appointed as council manager and deployed to Itiwe Ikate LCDA, from where he was later deployed to serve at that capacity in several local governments across Lagos State before his service was transferred to the mainstream of the Lagos State Public Service, Alausa, in 2016. He rose to the position of Director of Administration in 2019, and that same year, 2019, Dr. Mesewaku was appointed Permanent Secretary and deployed to the Ministry of Tourism, Arts and Culture, where he served until statutory retirement from active service in 2021. While in the local government service, Dr. Mesewaku was adjudged the most outstanding council manager in Lagos State Council in 2007 and 2011, respectively, by Chartered Institute of Local Government and Public Administration of Nigeria, and was conferred with a fellow of the institute in 2011. Dr. Mesewaku is holder of the following higher degree qualifications: PhD in African Studies, Institute of African Studies, University of Ibadan 2021, Master degree in Museum Studies 2015, London, Excel Level 5 BTEC Higher National Diploma, HND Certificate in Travel and Tourism Management, London 2011, Masters in Legal Studies 2009, Lagos State University, Masters in Public Administration 1995, Lagos State University, BA Honours Degree in English and Theatre Arts 1989, University of Ibadan. Dr. Mesewaku is a published author. His publications include Developing Lagos Tourism, Guiding Practices 2021, Vothuno, a novel, published in London 2014, marketed by Amazon, Badagry District, 1863 to 1999, published in 2000. Badagry, The Cultural Heritage, published in 1991. The inauguration of Governor Babajide Olusola Sanwo-Olu and Dr. Obafemi Kadri Hamzat for a second term in office, 29th May 2023. A compendium in view. Dr. Mesewaku is currently the chairman, Institute of Tourism Professionals of Nigeria, Lagos Chapter, and Chief Executive Officer, Badagry Cultural Center.
Is that all, Olamide, or you are still reading more?
That's all, sir.
Wow. Such a very impressive profile. It's an honor meeting you, sir. I mean, I just kept saying, wow, thankfully I was muted. Because, when you think you have started life, or when you are starting, where some people are ending and all that, and I just felt very odd listening to that. I mean, that very impressive bio profile. As I said, there's no how that can truly capture the whole essence of our author today, but we are so privileged to have you in our midst. I mean, this evening to come and read to us from your very masterpiece. I mean, I've been telling the people because I was part of the editorial team that worked on that, and I was like, well, this is such a masterpiece of a book. And thankfully, I share the same name with the author, and we also share UI together. And interestingly, I went to that combination of English and theater. That's what I went to do in UI, but they didn't allow me to combine English and theater. So I just talked to my English judge and then graduated. So it's nice to know somebody that actually even told that very wonderful line of English and theater arts. So it's nice meeting you, sir. I don't know if you want to say something about yourself to us before we allow you to read from your work to us. I will need to make you a co-host so I can share your screen in case you want to share it. If not, you can just read and they will listen and follow. So over to you, sir. You are muted at the moment. You can unmute yourself and we can get to know you better from your own mouth. You are muted, sir. You are muted. Can you unmute yourself? Okay, yes.
Good evening, Mr. Oladile Babatunde.
Thank you, sir.
I also want to express my greetings to your board members, the Literary Renaissance Foundation members, for this wonderful literary work that you people are trying to project.
Thank you, sir.
I would just pray that the Almighty continue to lift you, because you are really nourishing the creative space of the global community, and God will continue to help you. I don't really have much to say because virtually all that is needed to be said about my profile in brevity has been said. Only that I want to say that I'm happy to be here. I'm happy to be with you this evening to share my experience with you, especially regarding the publication of my book, Vothuno. And I hope that whoever will listen to what we are going to say today will be enriched somehow. Thank you very much. And also thank all that are on this platform this evening. Pray that God will continue to enrich every one of us and bless us in the new year. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, sir. So I don't know if you have chosen the portion that you would like to read to us from the book. Now you have the floor. Please, we are eagerly waiting to listen to you as you read excerpts of the book to us. Do you want to share screen or you just read from your?
Okay. Let me read from my book.
Okay, sir.
Yeah, the book is a faction. It's a combination of fiction and imaginative stories. So what we're having here today is about history of Badagry, imaginatively constructed and presented in the book. Vothuno is basically the history of slave trade, but the history of slave trade is a global phenomenon that plagued the entire African continent for more than 300 years. But in Nigeria, we are fortunately and unfortunately having Badagry as a community that still preserve this memory for posterity in terms of relics, in terms of history, in terms of monuments, and in terms of even the environment itself. So what we're having here today is basically about that history and how this history, the history of literature, interacted with the culture of the people and as well as the coming of the missionaries in Badagry. So there are three major phenomena that played out in this book. The first is the slave trade. The second is the voodoo religion, which is the traditional religion of the Badagry people, or the Oguris generally, wherever they are. And then Christianity in Nigeria, Christianity in Badagry, because Christianity actually takes its roots from Badagry. So by the time the missionaries was in Badagry, and as a matter of fact, the missionaries were invited to Badagry at the instance of the mission the liberated slaves that left Sierra Leone to settle in Badagry. So what they saw in Badagry was all obscenities in its entirety. So they were what they saw was they described as the master as the master of all the iniquities, that is slave trade, because the chaos, the tragedy that was going on at that time was very unbecoming, that made the settlers, the liberated slaves, very uncomfortable, and that forced them to invite the missionaries. They felt at that time that the people needed to be changed. They needed their way of life needed to be changed, and that the slave trade had really eaten into their psyche, and it has turned them into another thing entirely, not human. So the solution, according to these liberated slaves, was to bring in Christianity to change the way of life. So now the missionaries came, they wanted to stop slave trade, and they wanted also to change the way of life of the people, that to convert them from voodoo to Christianity. So the collision part has already been laid. So what I'm going to read here, because I've been told that I have just between 15 and 20 minutes to read this. So I titled the first chapter of the book, "The Invasion of an Evil Spirit." But I'm not going to read from the beginning. The invasion of an evil spirit. I'm not going to read from the beginning because there is no time to do all that. Let me just take it from when the white slave merchant, the first slave merchant that will arrive on the soil of Nigeria, anywhere on the soil of Nigeria, when he first arrived in Badagry, and the commotion it generated, because at that time they had never set their eyes on any white-skinned person. So he was misconstrued and misunderstood or mistaken for an evil spirit. So when the people saw him, everybody ran scatter. Everybody was running for their life. So there was confusion and commotion in the community. And the man, the white man, was called Flamingo in this book. He was a Portuguese. So he came with two black fellows. So at that time, Vothuno, who is the chief priest of Badagry, was also alerted by this invasion in court. So he visited the king, and the king directed him to go and bring or confirm the story if it is really true that an evil spirit had invaded the community. So Vothuno went and eventually discovered that actually the person that was being called an evil spirit is a human being just like us, only that he is a strange person that came from a strange world with everything about him strange. So I'm now reading from when he's been taken to the palace of the king. That's where I'm reading, and the interaction that ensued. This book was actually written, the style in this book is the storytelling technique, where we have interjection question from people that are listening. I use the moonlight the moonlight tale story technique, where elders in the community calls out the children to tell them history, tell them story, to tell them a lot of fabulous stories about animals, about places, and all that. So that is technique that is used in this book, because we are talking of a history of about 400 years. So I can't be that old to tell that kind of story. So we have to create an elderly person who is called Dagbo. Dagbo, Dagbo in Ogu language is the eldest person in the community. Is usually a very, very old man. So anybody that is called Dagbo is a very, very, very old man. So yes, so let me start now. Please, Dagbo, let us continue. Cotton pleaded. Vothuno entered the palace to meet the stupefied king sitting with apprehension in one of the cane armchairs in the palace. He stood up immediately he saw Vothuno. Howie, may it be well with you and your throne. I learned to capture it. The king cut in anxiously. Howie, that's how we greet king in Ogu language. Howie, may you live long. May the land of Badagry prosper in your time. And may your reign never bear witness to the wrath of the spirit world. It's not a spirit as we were made to believe. It's a human being like us, but from another strange world with strange skin, strange eyes, strange language, and strange clothing. Everything about him is strange, but he's friendly and harmless. What was the king's reaction, Dagbo? These are some of the questions being asked by children that are listening to Dagbo. Menu asked. The king heaved a sigh of relief. Listen to the ensuing conversation in the palace. Where is he now? The king inquired. Howie, he's right in your palace. He came in the company of two black fellows who interpret for him. They are our people from Wida. They said the white man has come to see your majesty and to discuss some business with you, which they said will change our fortune and make Badagry one of the greatest lands in this world. Howie, may I seek your permission to bring your guests in? You have my permission. Bring them in, the king replied. Dagbo, tell us more about the encounter, the children demanded in unison. Vothuno went after the strange visitors. The king now looked a bit composed, but was still not absolutely convinced that the white man was not a spirit. But why Dagbo, after all the assurances by Vothuno? Asked. There was a belief in those days that benevolent spirits sometimes assumed human form to bring good luck to their devotees or those who sought their favors. The king was at least satisfied that this must be a benevolent spirit that had come to change the life of the people for good. He was extremely grateful. Listen to him as he expressed appreciation to the gods. You God of the ancestor, Made, Vlekete, Anwaji, Nabluku, Adali, I thank you for the good things you have sent to us. Give us good health and long life to enjoy it. It was in this grateful mood that the white man and his fellow black companion entered. It was a great drama that you will all want to see. Listen to the dialogue. How the black man fellows prostrated to greet, while their master stood impudently before the king. Vothuno was already seated. Dagbo explained, "You are welcome to my kingdom. And who is this strange being?" The king inquired from the black fellow. "Your Majesty, he is our master. We work for him and follow him everywhere he goes. He is a great trader who has changed the life of many countries along the coast with his business prowess. He has traveled very far to get to our world. He is a very powerful and can make your Majesty very powerful too, more powerful than all the kings dwelling around your kingdom. Make me more powerful. Let him tell us how the hyena could make the tiger more dangerous." The black fellow interpreted to the white man, and he grinned, looking sarcastic. "Gibson, tell the king, I am certainly the tiger, and I will prove that to him soon. But before going into that, tell him I have come with some great gift for him. They are bounties that will place him higher above all other kings around his kingdom." Gibson interpreted to the king. "Let us see the wonder he has brought," the king demanded, and Gibson interpreted to his master. "Open that big sack and bring out the bottle of brandy." Gibson obeyed and handed the bottle to his master. This is brewed gin. I brought it for his enjoyment." He stretched his hand to the king, who did not accept it. "Tell your master that it is a taboo in our land for someone to offer you a drink without demonstrating he means well. Tell him to taste it first. That is the spirit." Gibson interpreted what the king had said, and a wide grin spread across the white man's face. Then he forced open the cover of the bottle and poured some of the liquid into it. He dumped it with relish before handing it to the king, who called on Vothuno to collect it from the white man. Vothuno opened the cover, picked one of the small gourds they used for that purpose, and filled it with the drink. He spilled some on the ancestral spot in front of the king, on the floor of the palace, by the main entrance as libation to the ancestor. "Why?" Dagbo Cotton asked. The significance of this lies in the belief that the liquid softens the ground. It symbolically opens the way for the presence of the ancestral spirits. Vothuno then offered prayers for the king, the strange visitor, and the entire community, demanding the visit of the white man in the land should bring peace, wealth, and success to the king and his subjects. He deliberately left some in the gourds, which he emptied back into the bottle. It is believed that as he prayed, the quantity in that gourd became consecrated for drinking by the presence of the spirit of the ancestor. He filled up the gourd again and handed it to the king, who also offered prayers, thanking the ancestors for sending a benevolent spirit to them. The king sipped the drink at once and was extremely excited. Tell your master that this is wonderful. I've never tasted a drink so great in all my life. Thank him immensely for this. Vothuno, taste it yourself. It is only in the eating that you know the sweetness of food. Vothuno tasted it and wished it were made for him. He placed the remaining drink on the ground beside the king, while Gibson conveyed the king's appreciation to his master. Gibson called the white man. He seemed to be enjoying the proceeding. Master, Gibson answered. Unwrap the staff. He obeyed and handed over the staff to him. It was a long wooden staff with the image of a man in brass at the top end of it. The staff was polished and cast in black. It was of a great value. They had never seen anything like it in their lives. The white man lifted it up and demonstrated by walking up and down majestically to the admiration of the king, who could not hide his feelings. Gibson, master, tell the king that I want to really make him walk about in his kingdom like a king in my world. Tell him I brought the star for him as gift. Gibson interpreted what the white man had said, and the staff was handed over to the king. This is marvelous, great, the king said in excitement. Tell your master that he must have been sent to me by my ancestor to do me this inestimable favor. Tell him that I and my people shall worship him. This interpreted the king's words to his master, who was all smiles and feeling on top of the world. Gibson, master, bring the mirror. He obeyed and handed it to him. This is another gift for you. It is for your makeup, the white man said, and handed the mirror to the king, who was visibly scared at seeing his image in the object. He quickly cast it aside in awe, saying, "This is sinister. Take it away." Tagbo, why did the king reject the mirror? Menu asked. The king was terrified by the sight of by his sight in the mirror. He had never in his life seen his image in an object like this. Dagbo explained, and the children once again could not hold back their laughter. Please stop this laughter and let us continue our story. Menu advised his peers. Dagbo, what happened thereafter? He asked, not minding the ecstasy of his friend. The white man picked up the mirror and patiently demonstrated its use to the amusement of the frightened king. It is harmless, the white man said. There is nothing sinister about it. It is for your makeup. Gibson, tell the king. Gibson interpreted and assured the king that it was safe to use the mirror and that the king should count himself fortunate for having his master in his kingdom. The mirror was handed to Gibson, who himself admired his image in it before handing it to the king. With a trembling hand, the king took it and eventually glanced at his image in the mirror, admiringly, but not without some eerie feelings. He called Vothuno aside, and they conversed in low tones. The king said, I don't think our people were wrong by referring to this strange being as a spirit. He is not far from being one. With these strange things he has brought, everything about him is strange. I insist he must have come from the word of the ancestor. We must revere him. He must not be angry with us. He possesses some supernatural powers. Or what is your own opinion? Your Majesty has spoken my mind. We should thank Jiweyewe, that is God in the language, that it is a benevolent spirit that he has sent to us, and not one of those wicked spirits that populate the ethereal world. They are worse than plague, Vothuno affirmed. But While the conversation was going on, Kojo, the palace mistress, was still in a daze by the color of the white man's skin. He found it hard to believe there could be any creature in the mold of man living under the sun with white skin. To the amazement of everybody present, he summoned courage and moved closer to the stranger, held up his left hand and rubbed the back of his hand with spit. Hello, Kojo, are you out of your mind? Touching a spirit, an old man exclaimed. Everybody, including the king, was alarmed by Kojo's blind courage as they watched with mouths agape, just as the white man smiled at Kojo's curiosity and ignorance. Dagbo, why did he rub the white man's hand with spit? Musa asked one of the children. That's one of the children. He wanted to see if the white of his skin was dyed or true flesh. Dagbo explained. The children exploded into another round of laughter. But Dagbo, after a while, ignored them and continued with his story. After the ensuing conversation, the king became curious and wanted to know more about the white man. Tell your master, we want to know what his name is. Gibson interpreted the king's demand. Tell your king that my name is Flamingo. Ask your master his mission in my kingdom. Tell the king that I have come to request for some of his men to help me in my sugarcane business in my country. Tell him that he's here to have all that I brought for him. If he cooperates, he shall be bountifully rewarded. He shall be the richest and most powerful monarch. I shall rebuild his palace with gold. Interpret to him, Gibson. Gibson obeyed, and the king was enthralled. Ask your master if there are no other human being in his world that can work in his farm. Gibson interpreted again. Tell the king that my plantation is 4 times the size of his kingdom. Therefore, I need more men to help me out. What was Flamingo's nationality? Dagbo, the children are now asking. He was said to be a Portuguese. The Portuguese were the of European slave trader trade in Badagry. They were joined later by Dagbo explained. Dagbo, was Flamingo saying the truth about his mission in Badagry? Nkweke asked. You will soon get to know that, replied Dagbo, and he continued his narration. The king was not satisfied with all he wanted to know how the white man will make it, how he intends to make me powerful. The king demanded, and Gibson interpreted. Then the white man removed the gun he hung on his back. With this, said the white man, extending the gun towards the king, every human being will cringe before you, and no nation can confront you in times of war. We shall demolish them in the twinkling of an eye. He handed over the gun to the king, who was amused by its forms and its complexity. Ask your master how this lifeless object can make me powerful. When the king's question was interpreted to him, the white man burst into hysterical laughter that sent the king and Vothuno scampering for safety. Then they glared at him with so much anxiety and fear. Dagbo paused, and the children burst out in laughter. Tell the king to grant me permission to demonstrate the power in this object on one of his domestic slaves. I shall marvel at the power in it. Why can't he demonstrate it on you? It is such a powerful charm that destroys with unbelievable speed and horror, Gibson explained. What was the king's response to this request? Vothuno asked. The king grew curious and anxious to see to see the power of the charm in the gun. Asked his guide to bring in the most stubborn among his male domestic slaves. The stubborn slave had hardly been presented for the demonstration when a bullet tore into his forehead and he lay lifeless in a pool of his own blood. The king and Vothuno could not believe their eyes as they stood rooted to the same spot, wondering if it really was possible for anything under the sun to be capable of snuffing the life out of a person with such lightning speed and from such a distance without physical contact. Rather than pity for the dead slave, they only felt shock at the charm of the object. Show the children chorus in sympathy. Tell the king that I have more of this gun to give him if only he can recruit some of his men to work with me in my plantation. By the time they shall return to your kingdom, they will be wealthy and make your kingdom flow with milk and honey. Gibson interpreted the white man's word, and the king drew Vothuno aside for a tete-a-tete. The king said to Vothuno, Vothuno, if what has just been demonstrated is true, as we have no reason to doubt it, I think we are now in an excellent position to take our enemies by bloody surprise and do to them what the pepper does to the eyes, especially the people of Agvagba. It is an opportunity to avenge the evil perpetrated against our land during the local festival 3 years ago. The arches of 3 years can still burn the finger. Vothuno nodded in agreement. Tell your master to give me more time. I want to converse with the other chiefs in my cabinet, but tell him his request is granted in principle. Dagbo, why did the king have to consult with his chiefs again? What we learned in school was that the king in the olden days wielded absolute power, including judicial, executive, and legislative power. His action cannot be questioned, Nkeke stated. It is true, my children, because the king was regarded as next to the gods. But there was element of check and balances in the system as we still have it today. The king and his chiefs constituted the policy-making body in the land. The chiefs were 7 in number, according to the geographical and political division of the town, and each chief controlled his domain without interference from the other. The king was just the administrative head of the town, who also presided over meeting of the body. Among the revered cabinet was also the Vothuno, or the chief priest, who was more or less the king's lieutenant. The socio-economic and political life of the town was determined by this body. The members were individually powerful and renowned medicine men in their own right. The entire land was under their firm control, and they all had domestic slaves who worked in their farms or who were in charge of their fishing boats. The members considered the aristocracy class of the community. Means before the coming of the white man, the black man had an organized social structure by which they oversaw the affairs of their society. Many who had been listening with rapt attention observed. Yes, Menu, it was near perfect structure, but the white man had come to create disorder in the traditional society of the black people. How, Abu? What you interjected? You are only being impatient. By the time I finish this story, you shall all understand the role of the white man in the configuration of the social political setup of African society. I think we have spent almost 2 hours this night, and I'm sure you are all tired by now. I can see your eyes have become heavy with sleep. May we adjourn till tomorrow? Dagbo asked the children. No, not until you have told us the response of the king and his chief to Flamingo's request to get people to work with him in his plantation. Menu protested good naturally. Years ago, his mates joined in unison. All right, children. It did not take Flamingo much difficulty to win the heart of the chiefs and his sophistry. With his sophistry, he bamboozled them with exotic goods. They all fell for his request like fowls to the presence of corn, just like the king, and were ready to get men for him to take away to work in his plantation. Flamingo understood the psychology of the people and the inestimable pedestal the king occupied in their social structure. His experience in Wida had taught him that to have his way in his line of business, the king should be the first person to be bought over. Since the king wielded so much influence on his subject and was believed to be the next to the gods, whatever a king said on a particular matter was the final and could not be questioned by anybody in the whole land. The, the element of the element of checks and balances notwithstanding, they had agreed on terms. While Flamingo, we, while Flamingo was ready to flood the homes of the king and his chiefs with European goods such as gunpowder, cartridges, gin, tobacco, bales of cloth, copper, bars of iron, and a host of other exotic goods, the king and his chiefs will ensure a regular supply of able-bodied men, women, and even children to Flamingo's plantation in another world. They gave him a portion of land to build his house and live among them if he so desired. He jumped at the offer him to live in Badagry. That marked the beginning of the evil that plagued Badagry and its environ for 350 years. What started as a persuasion and cajoling people soon changed to ambushing and kidnapping, people forming themselves into raiding gangs for the purpose of raiding and ambushing neighbors, and thus raiding of settlements, unprovoked war, gangsterism, bloodbaths, lawlessness, kidnapping, cold murder, and other vices all became the new order, and Badagry became a jungle for the period the slave trade lasted. That book concluded for the day, and the children dispersed to their various homes.
Wow, 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 wow. Thank you so much, Saf, for reading to us from this very amazing excerpt. Lots of emotion going from laughter to sober sobriety, and then as you going from one page to the other, and we're just following on. And I would like to also engage the audience. Please, does anybody have anything to share, any question to ask, anything to probe the author's mind concerning this book? I'm sure you guys will agree with me that it's a very, very interesting read. Does anybody have any question, any contribution, any literary critique? If you have any off your sleeve, please, let's listen to you, please.
Okay.
Okay, Ajia, over to you.
Good evening once again.
Good evening.
Good evening.
I'm our author once again.
Thank you very much, madam.
Really thanking you for that interesting read.
Thank you, madam.
You got us all enthralled. I believe I'm speaking the mind of others by saying we are all enthralled.
Thank you.
One great point of your work, sir, is the power of your creative imagination and your rich deployment of imagery. That's one thing that runs through your narrative, and you really did a good job with the use of imagery. God bless you, madam. The imagery, the diction, and the narrative style, your narrative style, both combined well to give the reader and we listeners here this evening a clear picture of the setting and the characters, giving us their demeanor as traditional, naive natives coming in contact with the whites for the very first time. In fact, as you were reading, it was as if a movie reel was actually rolling out the pictures. I can actually picturize the characters and the setting. You did a great job with imagery there. And that signifies or testifies to the fact that you are one great author, creative writer who knows its onions. And we are glad to have you here this evening. Also, being a history student myself, I can really and readily identify with the historical inspiration of the narrative. There is this history of Lagos. While I was in secondary school, we were taught the history of the secession of Lagos and the king being tricked with a mirror and a bottle of gin. So I believe you drew inspiration from that particular angle to create that scene where the king is so enthralled and curious. And I must say the level of curiosity is just so very similitude. It gives your narrative a very similitude account, And naive natives would not do less than that. So it sort of stamps your narrative as real life story, real account of. It's as if the narrator was actually there and giving the narrative credence. So it's the reaction of the king and his people did not fall short of how a naive native would behave on his or first encounter with a white man. And that initial belief of the people taking the white man with his strange skin as the evil spirit and to quickly translate to a benevolent spirit, just just showcase our ancestors, showcase their naivety and their open-mindedness, then their deep-rooted belief in traditional religion and customs. And of course, they had to consult with the chief priest, pour libation, and at the end, it's a story that really brings out the level of our ancestors, the level at which we were when they came and met us. And this can make anyone understand why our forefathers fell prey of the slave masters. You have done a good job there, drawing inspiration from history, but not just giving mere historical narration, but turning it into a creative job, painting the pictures of the events and occurrence during the colonial era. Thank you once again, author.
Thank you very much.
Job. I give you kudos for that. You're welcome.
Thank you, madam.
Thank you very much, Ajia. Let's listen to Grace Fullera, then we'll listen to Amos.
Good evening, sir. Good evening once again, everyone.
Good evening.
Good evening.
I want to say thank you for the beautiful epic that you just delivered. Most of my points that I want to raise, my colleague, who happens to be my bestie, BC, we're classmates in UI. She has raised most of them. Basically, 80% of what I wanted to say, she has raised it. But I want to bring it. I want to bring in the moral aspect of it. Like she rightly said, you have been able to use creativity to depict history. And as we were reading it, I remembered vividly when I went for to Badagry excursion, the slavery. Emotion was rising in me. It was, as sad as it was, you were able to bring in comic relief that could make us smile, even white time, yeah, because I was getting really emotional, getting upset with the white, getting upset mostly with our forefathers. So the moral angle I'm bringing in is that, like you rightly said, you saw something like what the king did. He saw something that destroyed within an instance. And what was he thinking of? The next point is how to destroy his enemies. So what is the implication of this? It means that our corruption, human nature on its own, it's, will I say it's a kind of, it's easily turned to evil, especially when what you desire is being presented before you. So the aspect of vainglory, vanity, power taste, it doesn't matter who we get born, it doesn't matter the number of people that will be destroyed. It's just so obvious that what we are facing today, our forefather, it has been with us all along.
Exactly.
It has always been with us. So
Exactly.
the angle I'm looking at is that we are easily tempted with what we are drawn with what attracts us, with what we like. And what happens, the white knows this, and they were able to manipulate our forefathers.
Exactly.
And that's what is happening now. Why can't we fix things in the country? We keep saying our colonial masters are behind us and the rest. What happened to the woman that goes to farm? Or the woman that sells around? You know how much you bought this thing, you know how much you are going to sell it. You just want to extort people. You know this greed. We have to come out from it as Blacks. If we don't lay our beds properly, nobody will do it for us. So I really got so emotional, but at the same time, I was even smiling with the comic aspect. I will really give you kudos and I salute your creativity and intelligence. Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much, my sister. God bless you.
Thank you
So,
for even
President,
that
please
political twist added to the commentary, Flora. Amos, you raised your hand. Can we allow the author to respond to some of those comments? Amos, are you here? Okay, does any other person have any question, any comment, any clarification you require? Please, you have the floor before we allow the author to respond to some of the comments. Nobody going. Okay, Ajay, you have something more to add?
I guess, I don't know. I have the only question I guess should be on everybody's mind is how do we get copies?
Yeah.
Of course.
Yeah. If our appetite has been whetted already.
Yeah.
We can't wait to really lay our hands on the copies and get reading and see the end of it. So how do we get copies?
Okay, I think, sir, you have that question. So how do we get copies of the book? For those of us that want to buy, for those of us that want to read, where can we buy Vothuno?
Sorry, sir. Please, sir. Can I say something?
Okay, please go ahead. I think.
Okay. Sir, thank you. I'm almost a regular face at Alausa. So I come to Ministry of Education like to do one or two things, few things. So I don't know if
okay, thank you. I think we'll listen to Dr. Mesewaku now. Can you unmute yourself, sir, so that you can respond to some of the questions, some of the comments? Where can we get the book? And then for those literary comments that we also got from our two besties who actually appreciated the work you did with that manuscript. Over to you, sir. Are you able to talk now? I don't know. I think maybe. Okay, please go ahead, sir. You have the floor.
Okay. Yeah, let me thank everybody. Let me thank the contributors and everybody that have been patiently listening to the rendition. Well, when you write as a writer, there are something that we call the muses. The writers will know, the poets and the writers, they will know. The muses, they communicate with you, they commune with you when you are at that level, at that high level of inspiration. So most of the time when you write under inspiration, there are a lot of you start to commune with forces that I mean that you don't see, but you hear their voices and they give you direction. This is how most of this thing, the time I first wrote this thing and gave the manuscript out to somebody, he was asking me, were you alive when this event happened? Were you alive? I said no, because you see, most of the events painted there look so real that even apart from the slave trade, even the Christianity, the activity of the Christianity in Badagry, the way it was constructed in the book, in fact, many people were amazed when they read it. And who gave you all this information? So the technique sometimes comes by inspiration. The first time I wrote this book, I just wrote it as a one-person singular. I wrote it myself, and I gave it to a lecturer of mine at UI. I said, Tunde, you cannot say this, you cannot tell this story. It's a good piece. I've read through it. It's a good piece, but you are too young to say this story. You have to create a character. You have to create a character to tell this story. And that informed the change of technique to bring in the storytelling technique, where we have the moonlight tale, where we have children and an elderly person telling them the stories. So that was how the inspiration came, and then I just flowed along as it came to mind. So the technique is because we are talking about a community, an Asian community. So you must in your writing try as much as possible to reflect the nuances of the social and the psycho relevance of those period. So that's exactly what I did in that book.
Thank you very much, sir, for that very.
So
okay, please continue.
And if you want to get a copy, I don't know if because I'm close to Mrs. Kemi Ogundipe, I can give copy to her, or you get my what's it called, my number. I can say it. I can tell you my number now. You call me, and we agree on how I can dispatch to you.
Okay, sir.
It's in Lasso. If you want to get a copy, it's also in Lasso because they are reading. It's part of their. It's one of their. It's part of their curriculum now. So they are reading in Lasso now. Yes. So it's in Lasso. They sell it in Lasso. If you want, but you can only have student copy in Lasso. Student copy is your 2,500, while the main copy is 5,000 naira.
Wow. Thank you very much for that. So if you want to obtain a copy, try and talk to Mary. I'm sure all of us know Mary. We have her contact details. So she will be able to coordinate with the author so that you can receive your copy. So, and I'm sure we also have an e-commerce for books. I'm sure we'll also still maybe take the discussion a bit behind the scene to see how we can make the e-copies available for those who may want to download. I'm also aware that the book is on Amazon, but I know for Nigerian reading audience, we usually shy away from having to pay in dollars or in any foreign currency or anything we want to. So that's why we have Iwe, which is our own Amazon servicing the Nigerian, the West African, and the African market of book lovers, so that those who cannot afford to buy on Amazon can readily just buy the copy, e-copies anyway. That's going to be digital copies, and you can only read it on the app. You can't download it. So I'm sure we'll also make that announcement as we finalize discussion with the author. Thank you so much, sir, for availing us of your presence today. I know it must be very busy. I mean, having to work on many things based on your profile that we've had. And we are so privileged to have you to have read to us from your book. And we're also very, thankful to everyone who has been here today, who came to listen to our author read from his work, because it's one thing for the author to come to read, it's another thing for the audience to be there to be read to. So thank you to every one of you for coming here today, for joining us for this reading session. And for those who are interested in obtaining the copies, please talk to Mary and they would let you know how you can obtain your copy. So we're going to take, because while I was talking about LRF, I talked about the fact that we work mostly through volunteers. And today we also just allotted a few minutes to try to appreciate our volunteers, those who have been very, very instrumental in helping us to achieve our corporate goals, in helping us to achieve the outreaches that we plan, engaging our audiences, engaging stakeholders, and also being part of what we do generally. And I would like to just quickly flash the images as we appreciate them specially this evening. I'd like to flash the images, and then, because, they said, okay, all men are equal, but some are more equal than the other. But those who have actually taking extra effort devoted to their services, to their contributions, whatever they are doing for us, we also have a certificate that we want to give to them, just to appreciate them for what they've done. So here is the LRF Volunteers Appreciation Session. We're going to take maybe like 10 minutes, and then we'll be done for tonight. And looking forward to seeing you guys again next month for another reading, and then for the dialogue that we are having in 2 weeks' time. So we want to especially appreciate Flora. You've been hearing the voice. Now you can see the face, for being there with us all through the year. We thank you. We also want to thank Timilein, who was also one of our, he introduced himself from UCH. Timilein, thanks for what you did for us in the course of the year. And we also thank Nurat Yusuf, who was also one of our volunteers. Nurat, thank you very much for what you've done for us at LRF. Then want to thank Linus, who has been a very solid rock for us in terms of publicity, engagement, and even dragging people. You can see somebody came from Jos, another came from Kachan, another from Lagos. That is Linus pulling them all together and getting the events. They also want to thank Ajia. I'm sure you've heard Ajia. Some of us have heard her talk over and over, and want to thank Ajia for being such a pillar to LRF among our volunteers. And Dimeji Ogunye has been a very classic MC. Nobody MC LRF readings better than Dimeji. Even I am not sure I'm close to that his level in the way he engages our author and then the audience. Dimeji is currently doing his PhD at IFE, OAU, and he's already excused and said that okay, he's doing some projects for I think maybe UNDP. So he's been very, very busy lately. That's why we've not been having him coming to compare the program. I'm sure as soon as he's done with his program, with the project, he will join us. I want us to thank Barrister Tejumola Oke, who has also been a very, very, massive support to us at LRF. Then we also want to thank Maxwell Ora, a master student, also a teacher, I think in Atabadina College, University of Ibadan. Thank you, Maxwell, for what you've done. And then Olamide Omolawa, whom we also hear, researcher from Ibadan, want to also say thank you very much to all of you guys for what you have done for us in terms of giving us your time, availing us of your presence and your contribution as we have need of them. And then, for among, there are many more really, but those are the pictures we have. But we want to especially appreciate the following people, and those are the people that we are giving certificates to for what they've done for us at LRF. And sorry, I need to share my screen again so that we can all see. So give me some seconds, please, to be able to sort this. Having to move from the first certificate we are giving today goes to Gagang, to Ajia, for being such a massive support to us in the year 2023 at LRF. Ajia, I mean, like a bulwark, moving us forward, helping us to get things done, helping us to coordinate the Ibadan outreach, delivering letters to us, out of our very busy schedule, delivering letters to schools on our behalf, engaging school authorities and management on our behalf. I want to say thank you so much, Ajia, for what you've done for us. Your certificate will be given to you by Mary. The next certificate that we are also sharing, sorry, I need to stop screen again because this certificate will not scroll as I want it to. So I think, let me see if I can do it now, if it will. The next certificate we want to also give is of course to Linus. And as I said, Linus has been such a massive support to us in terms of pulling the strings, getting people to come, getting his friends. I don't know if it has to threaten them, but at least we've seen, Linus brought me, Linus introduced me. So I want to say thank you to Linus for all you've done in the course of the year. We are so grateful. This certificate will be emailed to you from us at LRF. And then the third one that I will also speak to, sorry, as I'm sharing, the next one is to Nurat and Linus. They have a very good, they have this very good dynamic between the two of them. I think they just gel well together. I'm not sure they've met each other before, but they have this very wonderful this dynamic between the two of them in terms of the way they work. So we want to say thank you to you, Nurat, for what you've done for us as well in the course of the year. Others, as I said, others put in their best. That's why we flash their images. But we have to now speak. These are the people who added more to our courses. Mrs. Oke is not. I think I must have missed that. Mrs. Tejumade Oke is also one of such people. She's not here today, so I guess we'll just mail our own certificate. And then to the last person, I will let Sheung share that, and then Pyong, over to you, and then just speak a little bit, and then to the last awardee for tonight.
Yeah.
You can share
Thank you,
screen, right?
Babatunde.
Yes.
Thank you so much for thanks to all our volunteers and for all they've been doing. And thank you for everyone that has been that have been creating that time to be here and to ensure that our literary space becomes more dynamic and more, more fulfilling towards its objectives and goals. Today, something that surprised me when I think about this person that we want to mention next, whether he or she. I've served in the capacity of a president in nothing less than 20 organizations, from school, like 3 times, church, alumni group. I currently lead my university alumni group and co. And it's always very hard to find that Aaron that will support Moses. I don't know why. It's either the VP is always not happy with you, or the secretary is always not available. And that is always, sometimes you want to make you look like maybe you are autocratic in your dealings, or you don't know how to play with a team. So whenever I see someone that has a supporting spirit and that can make things fly without having to nudge them or having to remind them, I say, oh, this is Aaron, this is Barnabas, these are people I want to work with. And that's the person that I'm about to mention her name. She came to me just like a flash when I met her. And because I'm very observant, I've observed that over time, the diligence of having to remind us of meetings every week, private messages, Mr. Shion, send this to us, send this to that. Can I do this? Can I have that? And even before we agreed on the board agreed on this, I always say, how can someone be this just good, and maybe she's just created for this? So on behalf of the board of directors of LRF, as you know, we unanimously decided to give the last award to Mary Ogundipe, popularly known as Mary. Please, a round of applause for her. A round of applause for her, please. Everybody, please.
Hey, I was not expecting
you shouldn't be expecting it, but I can tell you this is not by accident. I fancy your work. I respect the kind of energy and passion you bring to the table. And no matter how much you are being paid for this, you've done more than what is expected, and this is what brings glory. This is what brings recognition when you give your all in all you do. So, Mary, I want to tell you that I see you, we see you, and the sky is your limit. There's some kind of people, when I see them, I know that they are bound for greatness. No matter how much the kind of environment they are thriving in current time, you are bound for greatness. I see greatness. I see you fulfilling great things in life. And please keep it up. Keep doing what you do. This is not I don't have the gift of what they say, give me that word, of making people feel good when they've not achieved. Yeah, flattery. Yeah, I don't have the gift of flattery. I'm quite a blunt person. I just say it and I move on. So if I'm saying this, please accept it. It's real. And please don't, this is 2024. On Literary Resonance Matter, no grief for anybody.
Yeah, the motto for the year.
Keep doing what you do. And we are so proud of you. Everyone is so proud of you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. And to all the awardees, all the people that have the certificate, please keep it very well. That certificate can be part of the things you can use in case you want to come to the US in the future and you want to collect and you want to come legally. There's a pathway that they call the EB2 and EB1, Employment-Based Preference 1 and 2. So they can tell you need things like this to show that you have been recognized for the things you've done. And they don't care where it's coming from. It doesn't have to come from United Nations. in as much as it's coming from an organization that is known. So keep it very well. Tomorrow you might need it, and it will save the day. Thank you very much, everyone. Please show Mary's certificate. Let us see it. And you've shown it. You showed it already. Yeah. Thank you so much, Mary, and God bless you all. Pass it over to you.
Thank you so much, Mary. Thank you so much, Mary. Thanks for all you do. It's supposed to be a surprise, and I'm glad it is a surprise. But there's no how we'll have recognized every other person who has been sterling in the way they walk. Just like she will say, she will know me that I don't flatter anyone. I don't believe. I can be blunt to the very, and no, I'm not such an easy person to work with. But Mary has been such a blessing to all we do in the organization, and then at Literary Renaissance Foundation. Just like him said, even myself, I will have forgotten a meeting. There's a meeting, and she's just that very timely clock that just keeps everybody up on their feet. And I want to appreciate you for what you've done over the years. And thank you so much. Just like Shehu said, some of these things, I've been saying that at the LRF volunteers meeting, that even Shehu himself, got this scholarship because of LRF. I didn't even know. I was like, this guy, so what happened?
Yes.
And scholarship of like how many thousands of dollars?
$50,000 cash.
We're not even doing anything. So some of you will think, okay, maybe somebody is, but you never can tell what would come to you by being diligent, by being, and don't know who is watching you. Don't know who is.
Sorry, today, even the green card, it was NRA I used. You gave me the reference.
Can you imagine? He just got his green card late last year. And through LRF, and here we have some of us in Nigeria, and we'll just be thinking, okay, they are troubling me. So please just keep doing what you are doing, and the sky is just the stepping stone. She was in the US now. Me too, I will be going to the US, and I actually got to Clinton School because of LRF and via Shion's recommendation. So it's just, we can't oversay some of these things, but I hope it sinks into the ears that need to be sunk into, so that we can all have better stories to tell at the end of the day. So I want to say thank you once again on behalf of LRF Board of Trustees to everyone who has been part of this event today. We have a little token that we'll be sending to your accounts for those that we've, it may not be plenty, please, we are NGO, LRF is not making any money. In fact, we cure losses if we are thinking of it, because we are being supported by another organization. So we'll just take whatever we give you as a token of appreciation for those that we are giving the certificates to, for all you've done and how you've supported us over the years. So Mary will be reaching out to you to collect your account details, and then we'll credit you as we are buoyant. So please just help us to manage them. And then for the others too, if you are not recognized now, this should be a challenge that, okay, no matter what you're doing, we are watching. And when time comes, when that certificate is only valid for 1 year. Meanwhile, it's not a perpetual certificate. So those who have collected the certificate, it's valid for 1 year. Now you have another year to prove your onions so that you can get another certificate from us. So thank you to everyone for joining us today. Thanks especially to our author for today, Dr. Mesewaku. We are so grateful, sir. As I always say, that book, I was part of those that edited it in 2009, and that book left an impact on me till date. That book, Vothuno, and I'm glad when you even read it to us, it still has that kind of very live impact. Something that you want to read, you want to know how did it end, what happened to Vothuno, what happened to the free mango and all that. So please, let's all try to get the books. Thanks to everyone who has been here today. Have a wonderful remainder of January. Hoping to see you guys in 2 weeks' time when we have our reading culture dialogue, and we'll be talking to ASU officials and then to the Ministry of Education officials, and hopefully the Ministry of Labor and Industry officials at that very momentous event coming up in 2 weeks' time. So from here, I want to say over and out. Have a wonderful and blessed and fruitful week ahead. Bye.
Bye. Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you, sir.
Thank you. God bless you.